The CIA interview method is not about yelling at somebody in a dark room. That is movie stuff. One swinging light bulb, one metal table, somebody slamming a folder down like, "We know what you did, Bradley." Relax. Real interview methods are smoother than that. The goal is not just to scare somebody. The goal is to get them comfortable enough to talk. Then let the story expose itself. Because trained interviewers are not just asking, are they nervous? They are asking, does this story hold up? That is the method. 1. Build comfort first. The first move is rapport. Basically, make the person comfortable. That sounds soft, but it is actually smart. Because nervous does not always mean guilty. Some people look suspicious ordering food. The cashier says, "What sauce do you want?" And now they are sweating like they got caught moving international secrets through a Chick-fil-A bag. So the method starts with a normal conversation. Calm tone, simple questions, no pressure. The interviewer is learning the person's baseline. How do they normally talk? How much detail do they usually give? Are they naturally awkward? Do they always over-explain? Because if somebody is awkward all the time, that is not evidence. That is just their factory setting. Even the CIA's own career/security process as background investigations include interviews with neighbors, friends, supervisors, and coworkers to evaluate things like character, trustworthiness, loyalty, conflicts of interest, coercion risk, and ability to protect sensitive information. In other words, they are not just checking one answer, they are checking whether the whole person holds up across context. So the first lesson is simple. Do not compare people to some fake body language expert chart. Compare people to themselves. 2. Let them tell the story straight through next. Ask one clean question. What happened? Then shut up. That is where most people mess up. They ask a question, then immediately start helping the lie. So you were at the store, right? And then you left? And you were probably with your cousin. Congratulations. You just gave them a screenplay. A good interviewer lets the person build the timeline themselves. Because when somebody tells a real story, it usually has natural texture, little details, small corrections, normal human messiness. Like, I got there around 6:15 because I remember I was mad I missed the first part of the game. That feels lived in. A fake story often sounds too clean. I arrived at the location. I completed the activity. Then I returned to my residence. Who talks like that? That sounds like a robot trying to beat a parking ticket. FBI material on detecting deception emphasizes looking at verbal content and truthfulness markers instead of just playing guessing games with someone's face. So the method is let the story breathe. The more they talk, the more structure you get. And the structure is where the truth starts showing up. 3. Watch for too much. Now here is where people get funny. When somebody is lying, they often think more detail equals more believable. So they overcook it. You ask, "Where were you?" And they go, "First of all, let me say this. I am a very honest person. Anybody who knows me knows my spirit. I woke up at 7:42. Brushed my teeth with mint toothpaste, wore my blue socks, ate half a banana, checked the weather, listened to 2 gospel songs, and then proceeded as a man of integrity. Sir, I asked where you were. You gave me the deluxe edition with bonus footage. That does not automatically mean they are lying, but it tells you something. They are managing the impression. They are not just answering. They are performing. That is the difference. Truth usually tries to be clear. A lie tries to be convincing, and convincing takes work. That work is what trained interviewers listen for. 4. Use elicitation. This is one of the best parts. Elicitation means getting information through conversation without making the person feel like they are being directly questioned. The Center for Development of Security Excellence defines elicitation as acquiring information from a person or group in a way that does not disclose the intent of the conversation. That is powerful because direct questions can make people guarded, but statements make people correct you, and people love correcting things. That is basically the entire internet. You can say, most people in that field start in sales, and they go, "Actually, I started in logistics." Boom, they just gave you information. You say, "Sounds like that meeting got tense." Then stop talking. They might say, "No, it got tense after Marcus brought up the budget." Boom. Now you have Marcus. Budget, timeline, emotional shift, all from one calm statement. That is the method. Do not chase information. Create space for it to walk out on its own. And this is not just spy stuff. This works in job interviews, client calls, sales meetings, hiring, conflict, co-parenting, and any conversation where the truth is hiding behind somebody's performance. 5. Ask unexpected questions. A rehearsed story is built for predictable questions. Where were you? Who were you with? What time did you leave? A prepared person can handle that, so trained interviewers ask sideways questions. What happened right before that? What was the first thing you noticed? Where was your phone? What was the weather like? What did you do after? What did the room look like? Now the story has to leave the main road. A real memory usually has side streets. A fake story often only has the highway. The FBI's high-value detainee interrogation group research lists work on using unexpected questions to draw out information and possible cues to deceit. That is the whole point. You are not trying to be dramatic. You are trying to make the story move. Because when a lie has to move, it starts breathing hard, like somebody who said they go to the gym but gets tired walking from the car to Target. 6. Ask them to tell it differently. Now comes the famous one. Ask them to tell the story in reverse order. Not because it is magic, it is not a lie detector, but it makes the brain work harder. A truthful person might still struggle a little because telling a story backward is weird, but they have real memory points. A liar has to do 2 jobs. Remember the lie and rebuild it backward without breaking it. That is when things start getting slippery. The car moves, the time changes, the friend disappears. Now the story is moonwalking. The HIG Science Review specifically mentions reverse order techniques and other variations in report modes as deception research tools. So the method is not, tell it backward and now we know you are lying. The method is, tell it backward and let's see what changes. Because people can memorize a lie forward. Backward is where the lie starts looking around for HR. 7. Compare the versions. Now the interviewer becomes an editor. Version 1, version 2, side by side. What stayed the same? What changed? What got vague? What suddenly got too detailed? What did they skip? What did they keep explaining too hard? And important, a small mistake does not always mean lying. Memory is not a perfect iPhone recording. People forget stuff. People mix up times. People leave out details. But if the spine of the story changes, that matters. If they first say, I left before he got there. Then later, technically I saw him, but we did not talk. Now we have movement. And movement is where you dig, not like a maniac. Calmly. Help me understand that part. Earlier you said this. Now you are saying this. Walk me through what changed. That calm tone is dangerous. Yelling gives people a villain. Calm questions give them a mirror. And nobody likes a mirror when the outfit is lying. 8. Real-life version. Now do not watch this and start interrogating everybody in your life. Do not go home like, baby, tell me your Target trip in reverse chronological order. That is not the method. That is how you end up sleeping in reverse chronological order on the couch. Use this for real life. Hiring someone, interviewing for a job, talking to clients, negotiating, handling conflict, understanding your own excuses. Because sometimes the person lying is you. You say, I do not have time. Okay. Tell the story straight through. What did you actually do today? Now tell it backward. Where did the time go? Phone, YouTube, scrolling, snack. Second snack because the first snack needed emotional support. Now the truth is sitting right there. The method works because it makes stories prove themselves. So here is the CIA-style interview method. Build rapport. Find the baseline. Let the person tell the story straight through. Use elicitation. Ask unexpected questions. Have them retell it differently. Compare what changes. And ignore fake body language myths. Because the real question is not, did they look nervous? The real question is, does the story hold up? A lie can sound good once. But when you turn it around, stretch it out, and make it explain itself, eventually the story starts telling the truth. That is the method.